Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, October 9th, and I am your host, Krista McDonald. In late July, crews began the process of installing a new culvert to replace the one that failed under Dean Street in February of 2019. After almost 2 months of construction, the roadway is now reopened to traffic and the construction is complete. For a complete recap of the timeline, we go to Mark Ryan.
Hi everyone, Mark Ryan here from the Norwood Public Works Department. It's Thursday, October 8th, 2020, and I'm on Dean Street. And behind me is the project site for what was known as the Dean Street Bridge project. This bridge is actually a subsurface culvert, 12 feet wide, that carries the Meadowbrook under Dean Street. Back in February of 2019, a section of the culvert failed, and the roadway was, traffic was allowed two ways, but part of the roadway was closed because of that failure. Through the benefit of a grant from Mass Department of Transportation, we were able to secure $500,000 towards the cost of this project. We designed it, went through permitting, and then ultimately we put it out to bid. And this company, Kodiak Construction, were the low bidder. They started the work on July 27th. This required the complete closure of Dean Street at the bridge, so we could peel away the roadway, expose the existing culvert, which was put in 1958, remove that, and then reinstall a new culvert. Typically, a job like that would take 2 months, and we were pretty close to that timeline. One of the challenges were the underground utilities that crisscrossed this culvert, so that was challenging to keep those utilities, such as electric, gas, and water, in service while we constructed the culvert underneath. So the work started on July 27th. Here we are, October 8th. The project is 100% complete. The roadway is completely open to through traffic, and we appreciate the patience of everyone and their understanding while this project was going on.
Thanks, Mark. Here at NCM, we have been following the progress of the opening of the Skating Club of Boston. In this next report, we head to their performance center to meet a Norwood resident who is ranked the #1 figure skater in the country and #5 in the world. Here's Brian Dunn with the story.
You may not know it, but right here in Norwood, there's a resident that is the current 2020 U.S. Men's National Champion in men's figure skating. Max Naumoff and his family moved to Norwood just about 4 years ago to skate out of the Skating Club of Boston. In Max's first World Junior appearance this past March, he skated in Tallinn, Estonia, and placed 5th overall. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to compete at the nation's highest level.
Now, I'm waking up at around 8 or 9 o'clock. I get here, I warm up for about 30-45 minutes for my first session. My first session, I skate for an hour and 20 minutes, just doing all my stuff, jump spins, like programs, all that kind of stuff. After that, I stretch out a little bit and then get ready, maybe get some food, and then get ready for my second session, which is around 1. I skate that, same thing, pretty intense, like stuff like that. And then right now I'm getting ready for competition, so we're slowly kind of coming down off of the off-ice part or the workout part. But in a normal kind of training environment, I would be doing workout Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that's like a 2-hour thing at the gym, just kind of going hard. And also on top of that, I'm coaching some of the days, and it's a very busy schedule. So I'm getting home at 6-7 o'clock and just get some food and then get some rest.
Max is continuing to develop his skating skills and set his sights on competing in a future Winter Olympics.
I mean, slowly we're getting into the stages of kind of planning that, I think. Not this cycle, I think, but the one after that. Right. So I have about 6-ish years. So yeah, that's what athletes do, really. They kind of plan out very far ahead, right, because you have to. I mean, you have to have short-term goals. You also have to have long-term goals. So I think, yeah, it's definitely something we're looking at now, starting more than we had before previously. But yeah, we're already starting to kind of plan that out and seeing how, which things we have to do, which milestones we have to reach before we can really think about that. So yeah, Skate America is a big step for that. So, it's we're definitely starting to think about that. I mean, it's been my dream since I was, about this big. So, any athlete's dream, I think. But, when it really starts to become realistic, it's very motivating, I think.
For Doug Zegheib, CEO of the Skating Club of Boston, having an elite skater like Max Naumob represent the club both on and off the ice is very important.
On the ice, we're proud to have Max because he represents the club both locally here in Norwood, but also nationally when he competes at the U.S. Championships, and importantly, internationally. Max is internationally ranked and he travels the world representing the U.S. at competitions. Off the ice, Max is a leader, and the other kids look up to him because of his standing in the sport, but also because he's a good guy. A lot of character, a lot of integrity, and he's a role model for the other kids. He also attracts new members to the club because parents see that a club like this can produce a skater of Max's quality, and it's something they know they want for their own kids. So Max also helps in building the club's membership.
Later this month, Max will be making his senior international debut as he was selected to skate in the Skate America competition in Las Vegas, which features over 60 skaters spanning across 10 countries. NCM will continue to provide updates on Max's journey, and best of luck to Max. You are making Norwood proud. Back to you, Kristen.
Thanks, Brian. That was a great story. It is so cool to know we have a member of Team USA living right here in Norwood. Very cool. Stay tuned after this break for more town news. Welcome back. 2020 has been a challenging year because of COVID-19, but Norwood got thrown a second hit when the June 29th flood hit Norwood and damaged local businesses, restaurants, and homes. Norwood stepped up to the plate to provide assistance to the residents in the community. Jerry Slater sat down with Town Manager Tony Mizuko on the most recent episode of Your Town at Work to discuss all the relief the town has to offer.
And we were pretty aggressive with the outdoor dining. Before the state had released its regulations, before the state had let us know what they were doing, we started studying what cities in the United States that had started opening were doing and what places in Europe and Southeast Asia were doing prior to their opening. And we know that the first sort of set of restaurant openings became outdoor seating and then moving to indoor seating. So we said, all right, we know we're probably going to go to outdoor seating first, and how do we get it done? We took our existing regulations and we took a team approach, rewrote them to work for what we needed them to work for, kind of modernized them and updated them. And the town already had some good outdoor dining regulations on the books, so we really sort of expanded them, made the process simpler, went to the Board of Selectmen, they had some input on it, and then approved it after they requested a couple of changes. We then went out to the businesses. We held a couple of webinars with restaurants in town, explained to them what they could do, what they were able to do, and what we were trying to do, and what the process was, all before we knew exactly that the state was going to allow this to happen. So then we got word from the state that June 8th was the day that outdoor dining could begin in Massachusetts. We got the applications out to restaurants. We started getting them back weeks before June 8th. And that Saturday before, which was June 6th, which was D-Day, we had about 15 employees met at Town Hall. We reviewed the dozen or so applications we had at that point. We went out, we did site visits, we had to make arrangements, we had to make adjustments to some of the applications. That Monday morning at a 10 a.m. meeting, the selectmen approved the first dozen or so applications for outdoor dining, and by lunch on the day outdoor dining opened in Massachusetts, we had folks eating outside at places in Norwood, and as time went on, I think you've seen it been a wild success for some of our businesses.
For the full episode of Your Town at Work, please tune in to NCM in the coming weeks. After reopening in May, the Morrill Memorial Library has been offering many of their frequently used services. Library Director Charlotte Kennelly wants to let residents know of some changes they have made to keep offering these services while keeping patrons safe.
Actually open to browsing where people can come in when they want to, but they're limited to 20 minutes. And they have to agree to our guidelines, which are to wear a mask and to use sanitizer if they're going to be touching books, and to follow the arrows and whatnot. But browsing is open to anybody between the hours of 9:30 and 12:30, Monday through Saturday. We've added Saturdays. And to at-risk patrons from 8:30 to 9:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So anybody can come in. We can have only a maximum of 30 people at a time. But a lot of people still don't want to come to the library and come in. They want to continue with the curbside services. So if they do that, they can start that at 1:30 to 4:30 and make an appointment for the curbside. We just have added study rooms to our list or to our menu, and you have to call for an appointment for that. There's a limit of 1 person per study room that's cleaned after use, and it's only 1 person per day. We have plexiglass partitions that the town ordered for us and we installed at all of our public desks, so that's children's, circulation, and reference, because we want to keep it safe enough. The directional stickers are there, you know, so that people will stay sort of in their own lane. And unfortunately, in browsing, we've asked people to just make sure that they socially distance. What we've found is our patrons want to be safe. So we have had absolutely no problem. Libraries who haven't opened yet are asking those of us who have been open for some time now, how do you monitor all of this? Well, most people are self-monitoring. They want to be safe. Another thing that I have to mention, because we are in the reading room, which is the most beautiful room in the library, we do not have newspapers and magazines out yet. At some point in time, we'll be contacting the Department of Health and asking whether or not we can start doing that again. Because if you'd ever been here in the morning, you would have seen many people in here reading current issues of newspapers and magazines. And that's been something that's really, you know, affected me, because it was such it's been just a library thing forever to be able to come in and do that. We're so excited that our kids pop-up, Kate Tighe in our children's department, is continuing with the help of all the administrators at all the public schools. They're continuing those pop-ups until the weather turns against us. And so they're being announced in all the schools, but you can also call the library to find out where the pop-up is.
Thanks, Charlotte, to you and your staff for all of your hard work. And now we're going to toss it over to Brian Dunn with sports.
Hello there, and welcome into the sports update for this week. My name is Brian Dunn, and NCM was at Norwood Country Club this week, providing wall-to-wall coverage of the home slate of golf matches. Let's take a look at how it all went down. In Monday's action, Norwood took on the likes of Dover Sherborne at Norwood Country Club. It was a hard-fought battle as both teams put up some pretty solid scores, but in the end, the Raiders pick up the narrowest of victories by 3 strokes, taking the W 235 to 238.
Yeah, they did. I mean, compared to our last home match, I think we shot 252 here. And today we shoot 238, and you know, Dover's one of the better teams in the league, and it came right down to the end. And some of the kids in our team, like Nick Spadosha, first day back, I mean, he shoots 38 today. Sean Dinnemeyer shoots 38. Joe Demaray shot 39, and you know, those are good scores. So 238, you know, I always hope we shoot 240 or below if we can. 240, you have a chance, but with a good team like this, you know, every stroke matters. But you know, I'm proud of the team, and you know, we're back out here tomorrow against Dedham.
Next up was match 1 of a doubleheader against Dedham and Norwood, and after coming off of back-to-back losses against Dover Sherborne, the Mustangs feasted on the opportunity to get back in the win column, winning the Tuesday matchup by a good margin of 229 to 284. It was overall one of Norwood's teams and Nick Spadosha's best career outings.
You know, the wind was playing against us today, but we all got confidence because, you know, we're all on each other's backs, making sure everyone's doing the right thing out there, and just making sure everyone's hitting the ball straight and long. Getting back out here with the boys, it's felt good to get out here and just get the ball out here on the course.
Thursday rounded out the week in golf with Game 2 of the Mustangs and the Marauders. Chuck Allen changed his lineup for the second stanza as George Tolman and Jason Dennehy were featured in the first pairing for Norwood. Another solid performance was turned in by the Mustangs as they string together 2 wins by a score of 247 to 271. Sean Dittmeyer was the low score of the day for Norwood in the second pairing.
Not too much, really. I was just playing well, playing with friends. Good mood all day, it helps it out. And your group plays good, you play good, that's really it. There's not much pressure on us because we played the last 3 matches all really good. I think last match our group, Owen shot over a 40. Today we played not bad. We had 2 kids in high 30s, 2 kids in low 40s. So we've just been playing really good together.
And the action, of course, doesn't stop there, however, because the journey begins tomorrow for the rest of the fray. Cross country and boys soccer are in action Saturday, and girls soccer is in action Sunday, all at home against Millis. And you can watch the games on the turf field live on Norwood Community Media. Coverage begins Saturday at 10 a.m. So, with that being said, make sure you tune into NTM and right here on the Sports Update next week for all updates on the games. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next week. Kristen, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. This week in school news, we will highlight the safety changes at the Balch School. In addition to the safety changes, the school is excited about their new playground. Here is Principal Diane Ferreira with an update.
Hello everybody, my name is Diane Ferreira. I'm the principal of the Balch Elementary School. I'm happy to report that all of our students have finally come to school, and it's been a really seamless opening start. One of the changes that we've made this year to start off the school year is how we get to school. So before, in the past, all students would come, we'd meet, we have a car line and a bus line. All students go to the back of the school, they hang out, they play, and we all came in the same door, door 7. Well, not this year. This year at 8:25 in the morning, kids are welcome onto the property, and each grade has their own door, and they come in their own door and go straight up to the classrooms. No more gathering as a group. One of the other changes we made is outside every single classroom is a hand sanitizer dispenser. So on the way in and on the way out, every single time they go enter or leave the classroom, they're getting a hand sanitizer and they're cleaning their hands. Upon arrival in the morning, one of the first things the students do is go to the bathrooms and wash their hands with soap and water. Attendance is taken, the day starts. We break mid-morning for a mass break and a snack break, which is often done somewhere outside. The kids like that. They kind of, it gives a break from the mask and it gets kids outside, and they'll have a snack and sometimes a short recess. Not on a schedule, kind of on the teacher's schedule. And then in the lunchroom, we've also made major changes this year. We used to have cafeteria tables like we're all familiar with when we went to school. Not anymore. We have desks. Our desks, we can fit about 54 kids in there safely. It's 6 feet apart, and so we have 54 desks in there. And the students each desk has a number in the corner in their assigned seats. And the students come in, they sit at their desk. The meals, they don't walk through the line like they used to. They order in the morning. The meals are prepared before they get there, and when they show up at their desk, quite often the meal is waiting for them. In between, the students, after we clean up, we bring the barrel to them. We have the wipes that they use, and they sanitize and clean the desks, and then the next group comes in. That's been working out really well, getting all the kinks out of that. We have a new ordering system in the morning. It's paperless, where for years it's been a piece of paper going back and forth between kids delivering it. And now we use a Google spreadsheet, and the orders get in and the cafeteria gets them. There's a seat number next to every kid's name, and that's been working out beautifully as well. One of the other exciting things is we did get a new playground here at the Balch, which has helped us immensely to separate kids out. So when we assign recess now, you either are on the hard top, we might go down below. We have the old structure and the new structure, and we do it by day. So only one group of kids gets each area for a day, and then the next day we change it up. So all kinds of things are happening that are exciting like that. It is a change. There are fewer kids in the building at a time. We have smaller class sizes, which is actually quite nice and good for catching up kids on some of the instruction they may have lost last year. But so far, so good. It's been good just to get the kids back in the building, stop thinking about things, and start just seeing them in action. One of the other changes that will be happening and coming up soon, most of our families are familiar with an ice cream social open house night that we've had every year for as long as I can remember. But we will be having a Meet the Teachers night, which will be a virtual open house type meeting coming up at the end of October. So the 27th looks to be our date. It's Tuesday. More information will follow. But another slight change to what we used to do, but it still gives people an opportunity to meet their teachers and find out what the expectations are and see how things are going. So that is very exciting. And then in closing, I just really wanted to thank our buildings and grounds, Paul Riccardi and his crew, the guys who work in my school. They have been vigilant in the cleaning daily, Wednesdays with the sprayer, and actually even more than just Wednesday with the sprayer. But they've been doing a nice job in our buildings, keeping them super clean, staying on top of things, really being there when we need them, and anything we need, they have done for us.
In government, the Norwood Cultural Council met Monday evening. During their meeting, the group discussed the 150th anniversary celebration of the town in Norwood. The council also discussed updates from the Mass Cultural Council and possible grant opportunities. The Norwood Cultural Council will meet again in the coming weeks. Tuesday night, the Cable Commission met for the first time since January. The board heard updates from representatives from Verizon, Comcast, and Norwood Light. Jack Tolman, Executive Director of Norwood Community Media, updated the Commission and the representatives of all that NCN has done during the pandemic. The next Cable Commission meeting will be after the new year. For the past 3 weeks, the Norwood Public Schools have welcomed back students in a phased reopening plan. Segal Reese, Superintendent of the Health Department, provided the school committee with a department update on the risk level changes.
But I think the main reason why we wanted to come speak with you was to talk about the risk level change. But before I do, right, hot off the presses, the report just came out a few minutes before this meeting, and Norwood is classified as green, which means our rate is lower. Yes, very good news. That's the first time in 6 weeks. So we've kind of been hopping up and down. In the yellow, we haven't seen a dramatic increase, but it was, ping-ponging back and forth. And so it's nice to see it go down below the rate into the green. So just for you and the public about what that classification is. So there's 4 colors that are designated for a 2-week case count. It's the average daily case count per 100,000. That's the rate. If a community has less than 5 cases, they're actually classified as gray because that's just too small a number to calculate the rate. If the rate is between 0 and 4, it's a low risk green community. Between 4 and 8, it's a moderate risk yellow community. And anything above 8 is considered red and a high risk community. And like I said, the rate is calculated by a rolling average over a 2-week period. And I always want to make the point that the smaller the population, the more fluctuation you see in the smaller number of cases. So 1 or 2 cases makes a drastic impact on our rate versus you look at Boston or other larger jurisdictions, 1 or 2 cases is not going to have much of an influence on their rate. And that's because it's calculated per 100,000. So just to say, we might see bigger swings just because we have smaller case count differences.
Segal also talked about the proper protocol the schools are taking if someone was to test positive of COVID-19 in the schools.
Let me start, the second part's the easier one. So we will be notifying the classroom and the whole school where the student was. That's definitely something that we've talked about and we all agree. The whole school community would need to know that, whatever school it's at. As far as the contact tracing, so we apply the standard that we apply in every scenario is anybody within 6 feet of the individual for a 15-minute length of time. Understanding in a school environment, particularly the high school where students are moving around a lot, that can be very difficult. So really working with the staff and the school nurses to identify those close contacts. That's going to be our priority, honestly, as far as communications, is doing that investigation, figuring out who those people are and reaching out to them immediately to place them in quarantine. The good thing with COVID and most infectious diseases, it's not an instant thing. So just after your exposure, you're not contagious the next minute or the next day even. It's usually, 4 to 5, 6, it can be as many as 14 days, right? That's why we have a 14-day quarantine. And you might never get the disease. Exposure doesn't equal disease. Exposure just equals higher risk and chance that you might come down with the disease. So that's why we sort of draw that line around the 6 foot. We know your risk is higher within the 6 feet and closer to be exposed to enough viral load where you could possibly get it. It's all about percentage and probability, right? So there's a higher chance the closer you are to the individual that was positive when they were infectious.
Superintendent Thompson provided an update on the tremendous start to the school year. The teachers and staff have been doing a phenomenal job, and Thompson said it has been great to have the students back in the hallways. Superintendent Thompson reiterates how important it is to make sure the students are wearing their masks at all time during school, at after-school activities, or hanging with friends while practicing social distancing. The school committee's next meeting will be held on October 21st. Also Wednesday night, the Conservation Commission met with a full agenda. To begin the meeting, Bowler Engineering filed a notice of intent with the board. Later in the meeting, the Commission continued their notice of intent hearing from the September 2nd meeting with Certainty Roofing. To end the meeting, Eagle Scout Ryan Larson proposed a scout project to add kiosks at Endine Park. The next Conservation Commission's meeting will be later this month. For complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break for more town news. Welcome back. COVID-19 has forced the community to adapt to the current environment in many different ways. The most notable one coming in a few weeks is the Halloween trick-or-treating tradition. Although it will be different, Norwood's Public Health Director, Sigal Reese, explains the do's and don'ts to ensure everyone can still enjoy Halloween this year and be safe and distanced while doing so.
Sigal Reese, Norwood's Public Health Director. Here are some tips for a safe and healthy Halloween with COVID-19. As a reminder, all events are still subject to the gathering limit of 25 people indoors or 8 people per 1,000 square feet, and private outdoor gatherings are restricted to 50 people. Participants also need to maintain social distancing and wear face coverings. Things you should avoid include attending crowded costume parties held indoors or any gatherings that exceed the indoor or outdoor gathering limits. Also going to indoor haunted houses where people might be crowded together and screaming. Some ideas you can do to enjoy a safe Halloween include attending outdoor events, place candy on a platter instead of a bowl. Instead of traditional trick-or-treating, opt for one-way trick-or-treating with treats placed outside of the home for trick-or-treaters as a grab-and-go while keeping social distance from others. Consider leaving out hand sanitizer by the treats for trick-or-treaters to use. Wear a face mask or face covering, and a costume mask is not a substitute for a face mask or face covering. To protect yourself and others, ensure you are wearing a protective face mask or covering instead of or in addition to a costume mask. Carry hand sanitizer and use it often, especially after coming in contact with frequently touched surfaces and before eating candy. Decorate your yard for others to enjoy from the car or while on a socially distant walk. Hold a virtual costume contest or pumpkin carving event. Also want to remind everybody to stay home and refrain from Halloween activities, including handing out Halloween treats, if you are feeling unwell, you have tested positive for COVID-19, or you have been exposed to someone with COVID-19, or if you've traveled from a high-risk state. So stay safe and have fun.
Thanks, Sigal, for your helpful insight. The Friends of Norwood Center held a photo contest for residents to submit photos that they felt caught the atmosphere of Norwood Center. Friends of Norwood Center President Charlotte Walsh explains the process of putting the calendar together.
One of our board members, Kim Weineck, had done a similar project in a nearby town, and she thought it would be a wonderful idea to get some photographs together from amateur photographers and professionals if they wanted to, and have a contest. We harnessed all the powers of our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, our blog on our website, and we got the word out, and it spread pretty quickly because we had over 25 photographers and over 200 images submitted to us. There were a lot of great images out there, and our board select committee worked really hard to sift through the photos, and we were narrowed it down to the 13 best, and then we left the choice of the cover up to the community. Next week, the sales are going to open. The calendar is $25, and it's for sale online only at friendsofnorwoodcenter.org. Or we'll be putting it out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with links to the place where you can buy them. And what's really exciting is that we're using a local business, Norwood Printing, to do all the printing and fulfillment of the calendar. So we're trying to keep it all local.
Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.